Hi, VencoreWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Friday, March 23rd. Basically a quiet weather pattern over the next several days, below normal right through the early part of next week. But there are a couple of interesting features we want to monitor over the next few days. Looks like it will turn warmer by the middle part of next week, but that warm-up will only be temporary, probably in the Wednesday, Thursday, perhaps Friday time frame. A colder than normal pattern looks like it'll return to the northeastern U.S. during next week and the beginning part of April, and perhaps last as long as through the 10th of April or so. Again, from April 1st to around April 10th, looks like a colder than normal pattern will first set up in Canada and then drop into the northern U.S. and all the way into the northeastern U.S. by next week. And again, that follows a temporary warm-up in the middle and latter parts of next week. Well, let's first walk through the upper air pattern here from last night's ensemble run of the GFS, and we'll look at 500 millibar height anomalies. First of all, lots of deep upper level lows sitting over the eastern U.S. here, the east coast, the western part of the Atlantic, below normal heights, below normal temperatures. Right now, Philadelphia, for example, is supposed to reach around 55 degrees for afternoon highs. D.C., 58 degrees, way below normal. Not only today, but right through the upcoming weekend and through Monday as well. We'll start to notice a warm-up on Tuesday, still below normal, but turning milder. And then certainly noticeable by Wednesday and Thursday of next week. Well, let's push forward here with the upper air pattern. One interesting feature that will show up here will be kind of a reinforcing shot of cold air. Will drop from southeastern Canada right into the northeastern U.S. over the weekend, and you'll actually see a reflection with an upper level low associated with that reinforcing shot of cold air. Here we are by this evening, and here we go. Notice this upper level feature here starting to show up and dropping southward from southeastern Canada into the northeastern U.S. And here we go. It actually moves right over the northeastern U.S. by late tomorrow night, early Sunday, and that's really the core of that cold air mass associated with this upper level feature. So we certainly remain colder than normal right through the upcoming weekend. Then by Sunday, that starts to slowly push off to the east, starting to see some higher heights than normal, ridging popping up across the middle part of the country, and that gradually expands into the eastern U.S. during next week. Still below normal on Monday, perhaps below normal on Tuesday as well, but nonetheless we ought to reach 50 degrees, which will feel quite mild compared to the recent days, and then perhaps 60 degrees by about Thursday of next week. Notice, strong ridging here in the eastern U.S. by the middle part of next week. Watch what starts to happen, though, at this time up in Canada. Here we are by the middle part of next week, starting to get an expanding area of lower than normal heights up across Canada. And there will be a cold air mass, colder than normal for this time of the year, in south central Canada that will basically expand all the way across southern Canada and the northern U.S. by the early part of April, which is next weekend, April 1st. Easter Sunday is a week from this Sunday. And here we go, by next Friday, perhaps a strong cold frontal system will end our temporary warm-up and usher in some colder than normal air for Easter weekend, next weekend. And look at the expanse of this below normal heights all the way throughout southern Canada and into the northern U.S. And again, that expands eastward to cover the mid-Atlantic region, New England, all the northeast U.S. So again, a few days of a warm-up, Wednesday, Thursday, perhaps into Friday of next week, perhaps a strong cold frontal system with decent rain on Friday, and then colder than normal pattern looks like it'll set up by the early part of April, perhaps lasting for the first 10 days of April. And here we go, right into Sunday, a week from Sunday. This is April 1st. A very impressive expanse of below normal heights. Now let's take a look and see what this does to the temperature pattern at 850 millibars. Well, here we go. This is the temperature pattern of the 850 millibar temperature anomalies. It's about 5,000 feet up in the atmosphere. Of course, starting off way below normal here as we end the work week on Friday. And let's just keep moving forward here. Notice this little blob of purple showing up here in southeastern Canada. That's associated with that reinforcing cold air mass, that upper level feature we saw that drops from southeastern Canada all the way into New York State over the weekend, keeping us below normal right through the upcoming weekend. Can spark a rain or snow shower or two, but really no appreciable precipitation expected this weekend from D.C. to Philadelphia to New York City, but certainly stays colder than normal. And we are now Sunday afternoon, and let's move into the early part of next week, Monday afternoon. Notice lots of warmer than normal conditions appearing in the middle part of the country. Still below normal on Monday, without question. Nowhere near normal on Monday. But by Tuesday, we start to turn milder. Perhaps still below normal, but 50 degrees possible for highs on Tuesday. And then even warmer on Wednesday. This is Wednesday morning here. A lot of above normal conditions starting to show up, at least at 850 millibars. And again, we could touch 60 degrees by next Thursday. Here we go, next Thursday. But look at upstream. Watch this area of below normal temperatures across southwestern Canada. This is now Thursday of next week. That just spreads south and east and encompasses the entire southern part of Canada, virtually the entire part of southern Canada and the northern U.S. by the end of next week. And again, there can be a frontal system that will end our warm-up and begin our cool down for the early part of April. This is now a week from tomorrow, March 31st, and it continues to be below normal in a widespread area here. This is a week from Sunday, Easter Sunday, April 1st, just below normal throughout southern Canada and the northern U.S., and that includes the mid-Atlantic region and the northeastern U.S. Well, let's wrap up by looking at the surface forecast maps from last night's 6E GFS model run. First of all, strong northerly winds here throughout the northeastern U.S. continue to pump in colder than normal air. Let's keep moving forward. Some snow shower activity could produce a rain or snow shower in the New York City region during the afternoon hours here, but basically no appreciable precipitation. Now, there is strong low pressure area that will drop southeastward from the northern plains all the way towards the Carolinas. It looks like it'll slide far enough to our south here that it will not produce any appreciable precipitation in D.C. or Philly or New York City. Now, basically confined to southern Virginia and northern part of North Carolina. It will produce a heavy snowfall for places like the eastern and northern half of Iowa on Saturday, but then moving forward it stays to the southeast. So far has not made any attempt to move to the north. It looks like we're safe from this particular system. Of course, we'll monitor it today. It'll produce some appreciable snow across the southern half of West Virginia, southwestern Virginia, and perhaps then into the higher elevation regions of North Carolina. And again, we stay colder than normal right through the weekend and into the early part of next week. On Monday, cold, high pressure station over southeastern Canada, northeastern U.S. continues below normal conditions here in the mid-Atlantic region. But shortly after that, that starts moving off the coastline. And here we go. By Tuesday morning, a broad area of south to southwest winds from the Gulf of Mexico all the way towards the Great Lakes into the eastern part of Canada. We start to turn milder on Tuesday. Still below normal, but perhaps 50 degrees. And then we move forward here through the middle part of next week, and we get even warmer Wednesday and Thursday, perhaps 60 degrees. Notice Gulf of Mexico moisture here starting to show up here, and basically low pressure starts to form down in the deep south towards the latter part of next week, and that rides up northward, perhaps producing a decent rainfall here in the mid-Atlantic region around next Friday, which would be Good Friday, March 30th. Strong cold frontal system starting to show up here associated with this low pressure area. Again, this could be the transition between a few day warm up Wednesday, Thursday into Friday of next week, and then a chill down again next weekend for the first 10 days or so of April. That pushes on through here by the weekend, and then we turn colder again. This is now Saturday, a week from tomorrow, and that high pressure area anchored over the northern plains in southern Canada, and again, much colder than normal air mass. Looks like it'll expand all the way across southern Canada and the northern U.S. as we begin the month of April, which is next weekend, following a warm-up Tuesday, Wednesday, and especially Thursday, and perhaps into Friday of next week. Friday could be the transition day with some rain, and then colder again for the early part of April. Can it snow in April around here? Absolutely. We had some snow in April of 1982, April 6th and April 7th. There was a snowstorm in the northeast U.S., an outright blizzard in New York City. It delayed the baseball season for several days in places like Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York, and Boston. No storm is showing up right now, but certainly with that kind of a colder than normal pattern that could last from around April 1st to April 10th raises the possibility of more snow in the northeastern U.S. And of course, we'll monitor that over the next several days. That's it for now. For VencoreWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.